All right, looks like we are at time right now. So, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Growth Group Conversation. I'm Mike Krampus. I'm a product manager on the retention team within Growth, and I'm filling in as host for Scott Williamson today. I look forward to answering your questions. So, Sid, looks like you have the first one.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Um, I wonder about the SMAU dashboards. They, in my opinion, they're not showing SMAU. They're not showing monthly active users for that stage. They're showing activity, but I can't get a user field. Maybe I'm missing something.
Let's take a look. So, I don't know if Sid or Tim is on the call. They would be able to speak to this better than I would. Let's see. Yeah, so that's great feedback, Sid. We'll have to take a closer look at that and get back to you with the answer there. But thank you for that, and we will definitely follow up and get that right.
Thanks. And I've Googled a bit. SMAU is mentioned in our handbook repeatedly, but none of those link to the definitions. So maybe that's a good, that will be something to look at as well.
Definitely. Thank you. All right, so while we wait for other questions, just for folks who aren't as familiar with the growth team, a little bit of background on us and what we do. We're focused on improving the core flows that users go through on their journey to becoming paid customers. So these are things like the initial account payment, trial creation, upgrades, true ups, and renewals. And we are really focused on eliminating the barriers that exist that can be in the way of our users seeing product value with GitLab. And the way that we are planning to go about that is through rapid experimentation. So leveraging the build, measure, learn loop, which you'll see on slide 4 in the presentation. Our teams are the acquisition, conversion, expansion, retention, fulfillment, and telemetry teams. That's all within the growth org. And while we're waiting again for more questions, I do want to take the time to just thank the fulfillment team for their hard work during the time before these growth teams were here. They were overseeing all of these areas, and despite having to cover a very large area of the product, they were able to really make some big improvements in the product experience for things like upgrades and trial creation. So really looking forward to working together as all of these teams to address all of these areas and continue to drive those things forward. So it looks like you've added another question here.
Yeah, can you elaborate a bit on this issue? It's the issue is buying CI minutes for paid plan when it's over user licenses and associates the paid tier and creates a new subscription. I linked it in the agenda.
Yeah, so this one, again, I'm not as familiar with this one. It's not one I've worked directly on, but it looks like there's an issue here. So this was submitted by Amanda, who's in our support org, who is actually our partner in support within growth. And so it appears that when a group is subscribed to the paid tier, that they have more billable users in the group on GitLab than is purchased in the subscription. When they get additional CI minutes, there's a couple of issues that happen. So new subscriptions created for the CI minutes instead of the minutes being associated with the existing paid subscription, and the group association to the previously purchased subscription is removed. So definitely an issue there that we need to address. And this is something that looks like the expansion team is planning to tackle now. And so that's all the context I have. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if Tim is on the call. I think he is off today for Veterans Day. So we can follow back up on that as well, Sid.
Oh, I think what I'm used to is that an issue states what should be the case. So I think what we have here is an issue that is the problem, not the solution. So would it be accurate to say the issue title should be buying CI minutes for a paid plan when it's overused on licenses shouldn't unassociate the paid tier?
Yes, yes, I think that's
Okay.
accurate. Yes, we can update that.
Maybe consider having a look in the handbook, whether it's clear that any issue title should be the thing you want to see, not the thing that's the problem.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
All right, Greg, do you want to take the next one here?
Sure, yeah. So I've noticed the past 2 months we've been seeing a decrease in our active core self-host numbers. I was wondering what might be the cause of this and what could we do to reverse this trend?
Yes, let me take a look at that. Now, I'm not sure if this could be related to potentially the usage ping, whether that's being used or not, and the data that we're getting back. We definitely need to take a closer look at this to understand the root cause and figure out what's going on there. Thank you for pointing that out. And it's definitely an action that we can take to dig in further there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, this is Jensen. Just want to add some color here too. We know that some of the things that we've done to increase trial signups on about.gitlab.com have led to an increase of people signing up for trials, because that's the primary CTA on about.gitlab.com. But it's also led to a decrease in exactly what you pointed out here. So that could be one of the issues that's leading to that decrease, because we removed, download GitLab as the primary CTA and replaced it with trials. So that said, that was an intentional move, right? And we want to increase the number of people signing up for a trial. I have a test that's planned later to start looking at how we can push people after they download a trial to educate them on how best to download GitLab. So there's a couple things that we can do to get those numbers back up. But if we want to keep trial downloads as the primary CTA on about.gitlab.com, it's probably going to remain lower.
Sorry, if you're talking about trials, you're both talking about trials on gitlab.com and installations?
Correct, yeah. So the primary CTA used to be installation. Now it's start a trial, right? So people are starting a trial at much higher rates, but they're not downloading at as high of a rate.
And do we, in the trial workflow, do we give people the option, or do it for gitlab.com or do it for self-managed?
We do, yes. We give them the option, but we don't do a great job of educating them on how to continue to download GitLab and instruct them on how best to do that after they've started their trial. They kind of get their trial key and that's the end of the process for them. We need to do some more onboarding on how, guiding them through how to complete that installation.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jensen. Mac, looks like you're next.
Yes. So as we're scaling up quality engineering counterparts and etc., I think it's really important to have documentation. Can we please populate more in the handbook? Because right now I'm only seeing team composition. So the context is we're trying to hire a quality engineering manager for growth this quarter, and any existing documentation in the handbook, link from the handbook as single source of truth would be great.
Yeah, we have a few pages right now on the handbook under the direction section as well. And there's some work that we need to do to clean that up and to get it more organized, kind of break things off into the handbook. That's how we work, and more vision items in the direction pages. So that's an action that we're going to work on over the next week or so. So yes, we will definitely do that.
I can probably add to this one. Hey, Mac, Jerome just joined last week as the EM for growth, for acquisition and conversion. Both myself and Phil Calder, who's the counterpart for expansion and conversion, will work directly with you, just so that we're aligned on both sides of engineering.
Thank you.
All right, and so next is Alper, who can't speak. He's asking, what are some other ways Growth is using to collect customer feedback beyond telemetry? So there's definitely a couple things that we're doing right now. So Jeff Crow in our UX research team has been doing customer interviews. I know that Jensen and folks did about 10 interviews around the trial creation process, or the account creation process. And we also have started to do interviews with customers that have recently churned. And we want to also get some going with folks that have gone through the renewal process. We also are in the process of understanding what our options are for doing more surveys of our customers. And so we're looking at things like satisfaction or NPS. We're figuring out the right technique, but we definitely want to get more qualitative data available to go along with the quantitative data that we are looking to achieve with the telemetry efforts.
Yeah, Mike, if I could just add to that, if anyone has anything that they feel like is necessary to investigate from a qualitative research standpoint, please reach out to myself. We also have Eileen, who's on fulfillment and does collaborate with me from time to time on certain growth research initiatives, depending on how the work overlaps with her own work. But yeah, if anyone feels that there are things that we should be looking into more and getting more detail and depth on, please don't hesitate to reach out to me either directly, or you can create a UX research issue where we have a research proposal template where you can lay out the question that you want to get more information on.
Thanks, Jeff. So Matt,
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt here. I just want to add to that. Just to kind of paint a picture, without the type of qualitative data we had, or quantitative data that we had planned, it's very difficult to run a test of a lot of the stuff that we're working on. So right now we have a test out there for simplifying user registration, and it's great. We can see aggregate numbers of what's happening, but we can't do things like exclude people who went on to get banned because they were abusing the CI/CD pipeline, stuff like that. So we're making like registration easier, but that might make it easier for some bad actors too. And it's really difficult to track that and test that without a level of telemetry. So while like what we're doing is basically moving that data collection up front and doing as much research as we possibly can before we make those changes, because we can't get them a lot of times afterwards. So again, like doing a lot of that research up front is what we have planned for now.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jensen. So Mac, looks like you also have the next question here.
Yes, thank you. So just for curiosity, what is the release cadence process like for customers like GitLab.com right now? Is it following the main flagship process for 272nd, or can we release faster?
I believe we can release weekly with the customer's app, but I am not 100% on that. Maybe someone who is in the engineering group could clarify that. I'm not sure, Jerome, if you know yet, or.
I don't know the answer yet, but I can follow up with you, Mac.
Yeah, it's so the CI server builds and it deploys to staging right after that. And then I think there's a 3-hour window and then it just deploys to production.
And this is staging for the customer portal, correct? You have your own staging.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, Josh R., you're next.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of customers that are SCM only, and they're not SCM only because they don't see the value of integrated CI. They're SCM only because they've invested so much in Jenkins, right? And it's just the moving from that, taking all of that sunk costs and investing in GitLab CI is just overwhelming for a lot of them. And so I was super excited to see the Jenkins importer issue. But I just was keeping up with it, and I noticed that it's getting pushed out a few releases. And so I was just curious, what was the thing that was causing that to get pushed out? Maybe there's something else that's more important, but I just wanted to, as someone who's interacting with customers daily, just reiterate, this is a huge enabler for GitLab CI for our existing SCM only customers.
Yeah, and thanks for the question there. I don't have the full context on that one. I'm not sure if someone from the expansion group can speak to it, but I would imagine that the design and development effort is just a little larger than we had thought, and because of that, it's pushing up. But I don't know for sure there. I don't know if we have Jackie perhaps on the call who can speak to that.
Yeah, I can just say that Tim and Mate haven't started looking at the UX for it yet, so it's just not likely to be complete by the 22nd.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, this is, once we get this, it's a game changer for adoption on CI.
It's great to hear. So we'll keep focused on that. Keep plugging away and try to get it out as soon as we can for you all. Jamie, you're next.
Hello. I was wondering, with all of the new experimentation that's going on, what is the feedback loop with like sales and business operations and the other groups that these decisions affect? For example, allowing people to cancel through the portal.
Yeah, so I would say in terms of getting feedback from those groups, each PM will continue to work with their stakeholders to do that as part of the kind of design process. And as if you all have feedback or questions or concerns on any of these issues, feel free to reach out to the PMs directly or in the Slack channel that we have for growth. We obviously want to hear the feedback and make sure that we're doing things in the right way so that we're not causing downstream problems with any of these experiments. So please reach out and let us know the feedback as soon as you have it so that we can account for it.
Does each PM have like a list of people that they work with, and is that posted anywhere?
We do have a doc that has all of the different folks in the different orgs that we need to run things by and work with. I don't think it's published public, but it's one of the things that we actually created as part of the fast boot when we got together in Vancouver, because we wanted to be conscious to make sure that we are keeping stakeholders in the loop and making sure everyone is aware of the changes as we go forward. We can perhaps add that to the handbook, some of the content that we're cleaning up there. I think that would probably be a good suggestion. Does that answer your question, Jamie?
Yes, and I'd love to be brought into that list.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you and I have talked a lot when it comes to like renewals and true ups, so I'm sure there's opportunity to get you more involved with the other folks as well.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Let's see, Alper has the next one here, which is question is, what are some exciting recent or upcoming things for growth? I think, and folks on the call on the growth team, feel free to jump in as well. I think, things that I'm really excited for, I think the teams are really starting to gel, and we've identified some really great opportunities for things to immediately impact revenue. Things like improving the renewal process for .com, charging for the right number of seats, a lot of the true up work that we're starting to identify to improve things there, both for our customers, but for their folks internally around the process there. So I think, we're excited about all of the opportunities that we have as a team to start to drive meaningful change for the business. And, now it's just all about execution. We just got to go out there and get after it. Other thing I think that we're all excited for is that we did hire a director for the growth org, and she starts in December. She has a background in growth, and she actually worked at Growth Hackers, which the folks there are the ones that wrote the book Hacking Growth that we all read as part of our kind of onboarding. So I think she's going to bring a lot of great leadership and direction to the team, and I think that's going to help us move forward with some speed and start to really generate some results for the business. I don't know if anyone else on the call wants to jump in and add anything. Those are just a couple of things that, for me, I'm really excited about.
I think what I'm excited about is whenever you start up a growth team, there's a bunch of groundwork which you need to do, whether it be getting the right analytics in place, doing a bunch of cleanup in the code so that you can rapidly experiment. I'm just getting a pulse on exactly where we are there. I think we are nearing the end of that cleanup and just laying the full foundation so that we can do the quick sort of iterations and tests. So yeah, that's the most exciting part, just quick experiments.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Jerome. Thank you for adding that. You know, we've had some work to do to get up to speed and get moving, and like you said, we are kind of rounding the corner on that so that we can really start to make some big changes. Jamie, looks like you have the next one as well.
Okay, so I asked for more information about, under the challenges slide, bringing our billing and licensing platforms to industry standards at a pace that can keep up with the growth of the organization. Working on removing barriers for sales and improving self-service tools to streamline and scale. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that one really is, it's about, you know, and I think you're very familiar with this, that there's some tech debt and other things with our billing system and the way all the systems communicate with each other that we want to make some improvements to. There's also a lot of manual back-end process that we do for things like renewals and true-ups that I think there's a lot of opportunity to really automate a lot of that and to allow our folks internally to focus on the more high-value efforts. And if we really want to get to a kind of seamless experience for payment and renewals and true ups, that we've got to put in a lot of groundwork on these systems and tools so that we don't put too much pressure on them as we start to make these changes and have it become a bottleneck where there's a manual process that could break things down. So, you know, it's a lot around Zora and how it talks to the other apps and Stripe and really getting that whole data flow and process humming so that we can just start to iterate more easily on it and provide a better experience for our customers externally and internally as well. So all the folks that deal in, you know, in billing and in sales with those tools, really trying to improve it for everybody.
And just to add to that, to tie this to the business problem, right? The one thing that I would like to highlight in that sentence is self-service. Because what we see in our tool right now is that for users who go through a more high-touch, sales-oriented flow to get started signing up or to renew, they're doing an amazing job. The sales organization is doing such a good job of bringing those customers on and bringing them on in a way to where we are showing them how best to use the tool. We can see that in the value that we're kind of extracting from those users. So actually, if you look at Gold, we're like signing up less users, but at a higher dollar amount, which shows that they're using more features and it's more sticky. It's great. But if you look at that from Bronze and Silver, it's the opposite. We're signing up. We have a declining growth rate on the number of accounts that we're signing up at. And we know that that relates to a lot of the user pain points that you see. For example, like the biggest thing we see on social media as a negative or a detractor from GitLab is that people are really super frustrated with renewing. They have to contact sales, and a lot of times sales just doesn't have the bandwidth to reach out to them personally. So when I see self-service, I think that we can have an immediate impact in turning around those lower dollar accounts that may not get that high touch from sales and create an experience for them that they expect and have an immediate business impact in bringing on more of those users without impacting, you know, sales bandwidth. That's where we're concentrating a lot of our efforts right now. And I think we're going to see like a huge impact just based on some small changes there.
Yeah, thanks, Jensen. So we are running out of time, so I think we have time for maybe one more question. Brandon, you want to take that?
Sure. This is just curiosity. We have a lot of customers that start with us that have an opinionated place they're coming from, usually a cloud. And we've done this in some little pieces around EKS and GKE, but wondering if this is something that if I were an Amazon customer coming to GitLab, that being able to seamlessly deploy into all the environments that I think of as an Amazon customer might not be something that could really increase both that velocity and also allow us to offer some pretty unique I guess, value. So it's just a question.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I can take that one. So I think that right now we're concentrating on just making, like I said, that kind of self-service and cleaning up some of the items for just internal customers. But you are absolutely right. There is a massive opportunity here. I've had conversations with the expansion group and just internally for acquisition. Things like having some way to generate like a CI/CD framework for places like Amazon, just to show users like, hey, if you're using these items, here's how we suggest to set up your CI/CD framework to start deploying to places like this. Or as we try to guide users on how to download their instance and start using it, this would be a great opportunity to show them, are you using AWS? Here's how we think that it would be best to get started, given that you're a heavy AWS user. We can be super successful in bringing those users on in a more streamlined fashion if we do stuff like that. But that said, we have a lot of kind of cleanup work to do before we start to reach out to integrating with different partners and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
all right, so that does it for time. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation today and your questions, and for all the actions that we had that we need to circle back on. We will do that and get back to you all. Thank you.